Hi everyone, it's Vicki, aka Cruiserella, and today I am here with another Cruise Critic list to go through. And this one is the 10 things to do as soon as you get your cruise cabin. And I'm going to go through and tell you what I think about Cruise Critics, the items they picked, whether I agree or disagree or have an addition to them. So basically, let's just get started, I guess. They say the number one thing to do when you get your cruise cabin, get to your cabin, let me back up and say that when you first get on a cruise ship, depends on what time of day you show up. If you show up early, your cabin may not be ready for you, or your stateroom is what they really call it, may not be ready for you yet. And so they suggest you go eat at the Lido, look around the ship or whatever. And some people, have their swimsuits under their clothes or something, and they might be in the hot tub. But mostly it's a lot of people walking around kind of in their street clothes and their carry-on. They get something to eat, and then they might plop in a chair for a while until 1:30 is kind of an average time, I'd say, for rooms being ready. But anyway, so that's what they're talking about once the room is ready, what to do. So the first thing they say is unpack your bags and put away your clothes. Now, I kind of agree with that. I don't always do that when we first get to our room because our luggage isn't always there. If you have a suite or something, you are more likely to get your room early and or your luggage early. But as you go down the caste system of rooms, you might not have your luggage there to unpack it right away. I tend to like to do it, after, give myself, like, say we have a 6 o'clock dinner time and I want to maybe go back to the room at 4:30, unpack, then get ready for dinner, that kind of thing. But it is nice, though, to get your clothes unpacked on that first day, put your luggage under the bed or in the closet or wherever you can, hide it. And it just, to me, I've never done that in a hotel where I've taken everything out. Maybe I've done the hanging clothes and maybe left some things in the suitcase. But in a cruise, because there's such tight space and stuff, I am an advocate of unpacking. Now, as you collect dirty clothes, I'm also an advocate of pulling out the suitcase and putting your dirty clothes maybe halfway through the cruise. Some people say no because they don't want to be reminded that their cruise is half over, but it just gives you a little bit more space and the dirty clothes aren't in your way. So that was number one. They basically said unpack your bags as soon as you can, and I agree. Yes, that first afternoon is a good time to do it. Second is to find out where your assembly station for the muster drill is, and obviously they don't say to go to it, but yeah, it's all the same. I like to do the muster drill before unpacking my stuff, just because I think that's the most important thing to get done after you get on the ship. Sometimes we do it before we even find something to eat. But now that they're kind of going back to the old-fashioned way where there's a specific time and everybody's meeting in the same place, as opposed to a little bit more autonomy in when you do it. So that's going to really decide at what point in the afternoon that you go to that. But you have to go to that. That's a safety drill. At least, as far as I know, you're not having to drag your life jackets around with you anymore. All right, so third, they say put on a fresh change of clothes. They're basically saying get out of your travel clothes and into something else. And they're saying it doesn't matter how long, whether you took planes, trains, or automobiles, or you only had to go a short distance from your to your ship's home port. That one I'm not sure I agree with. If I had been traveling, like I remember traveling from Alaska to Las Vegas one time and I show up in really warm clothes, of course I'm going to change clothes. Or if you feel grimy or you've been in the clothes too long. But I leave my house just freshly bathed in clean clothes and go to the Tampa terminal, a 25-minute Uber ride, I don't feel a need to change my clothes. And some people, maybe they're only coming from Atlanta. That's not a very long flight to Tampa. And they're wearing their vacation clothes, to get on the ship. So I don't know if I totally agree with that, but if you were traveling a long way and you feel icky or you're just not wearing something you're comfortable with, I got a dog I got to scratch here, or or your clothes are out of season. You know, you're in Florida and you're wearing Minnesota clothes. But yeah, so that's that. All right, so the next one was put your phone on airplane mode. Now that is a really, really good one. I don't do it while I'm still in port. I usually wait till we start to sail away before I do it and just use my, my T-Mobile 5G. But you do want to put it on airplane mode to avoid roaming charges. Yeah, you could get a really big bill if you leave it, if you accidentally have it on, you don't realize it, and you do, and you use, I don't even know what that's called. I just call it roaming. I'm sure there's better words for it. But with that, the next one, these two really go together, is to activate your Wi-Fi package if you purchased one. So Jerry turns his off pretty much right away. I wait, and then we both get the Wi-Fi going, usually about the time that the ship sails. Sometimes there's a little difficulty with it, so that I kind of just wait until we leave. I stay on the good connection, which is my T-Mobile, my network, until I have to. But yeah, and you want to make sure you activate your Wi-Fi. Now, on the ships, a lot of times, if you're not in airplane mode, that it's not going to work. You'll think, this Wi-Fi isn't working, it's not connecting, and sometimes that's because you don't have it on airplane. And the ship's own, their own app usually requires that you have to have it. Well, I shouldn't say usually, because I don't know if that did on that very last cruise we were on, but they have their own app sometimes. Like, I love Carnival's app, because you just say, okay, I'm ready to go to dinner. This is okay, we'll put you in line. And then you get a message that says, okay, we have a table for you. You got 10 minutes to get here. And then you just walk in. And you can do all that online. Or like Princess Medallion. We could say, I'm sitting by the pool, but I want, snacks and a soda. But I don't want to go to the buffet. And sure enough, here they come. You can order them, through the medallion. So I guess what I'm saying is that depending on the app, having it on or off of Wi-Fi can interrupt, or on really can interrupt that app. So you just have to figure it out, because each one is different. I've had, some that I just I feel like I wasted my money because it didn't do much and it was hard to work with, and some that were great. All right, so enough on that subject. So 7 was take time to meet your cabin steward. Now that's what we like to do that. Usually they come around to you and introduce themselves. Cabin stewards usually work in the morning, and then there's a lull, and then they come back at night. And it's nice when they come around after the cabins are open and they come and they introduce themselves. Some even give cards with their name and there's sometimes 2 names on there, because you have a cabin steward and then sometimes an assistant or someone who's in housekeeping who works with them. But they don't always come around, and I've had them where, I've barely seen them, and that kind of surprised me. But yeah, and then you can tell them, some people say, listen, I don't want my bed made up at night, because they don't want someone coming back in a second time in their room. Or they could be someone like me who says, I'd like to have an ice bucket. Or, we always ask for extra pillows. Plus, the way the beds are in a room, usually they're two beds that are pushed together to make one big bed. And so sometimes people who aren't going to sleep together might walk in and see the beds, and they have to ask them to be pushed apart. Or they might be apart and you want to sleep together, and so you have them push them together. And they're the ones who do that, because it's more than pushing a bed, because it sounds like you could just do that yourself. They have little tables that are connected to the wall sometimes, and then those have to be moved as well. So, but yeah, that's a great tip. And you can let them know what you want or don't want, and they'll usually explain things to you. And sometimes we've been just waiting to meet them so we could figure out how the darn thermostat works. All right, number 8 is get your cabin bearings. This is an important one, and we usually do this right away. Pretty much, I usually take a room tour, and I get my bearings from that, because what they mean by getting your bearings is finding out where the hairdryer is, or if there's a hairdryer. Usually there is. they mention the outlets. That's one of the first things I scope out too, is their USB. How many American, North American plugins are there? Is there one in the bathroom? And it's because sometimes the one in the, you'll think there's not one in the bathroom, but it's hidden because it's a waterproof thing or something. It's got a little cap over it or something. So, but yeah, that's another good one. And I do that right away. I do that before any of the others, probably the first thing I do on this list. Next, they suggest, and this isn't just the first day, this is every day, but to peruse the daily planner. The nice thing about doing it on the first day is you can learn where things are, like this is, like you'll find that the restaurants are, say, on 5, and the theaters on 6 or whatever. So that's a nice learning thing on the first day. But basically, I would say every day you want to read that, because there could be activities you might be interested in that you might miss. Or sometimes it's like if if there's going to be a show twice, figuring out dinner, do I go to the early or the late, or do I go to the Monday performance and not the Thursday performance, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's those things are very helpful, and they're just kind of like a newsletter, I would say. And then the last one they suggest is to book appointments and reservations. Now, what they're referring to is things like spa, probably personal trainer stuff in the gym, I would guess. They're pretty much saying spa and specialty dining. I usually do specialty dining, if I can, before we get on the ship. And same with spa. I usually do anything that I can, and excursions, all of that. They're not really mentioning excursions in this, but anything that I book through the ship, if I can do it before, I do it before, because I know it fills up pretty fast the first day. I certainly don't want to go stand in that reservation line, and when you try to call for them, sometimes it's, they're not answering because they got so many people in front of them, and they're trying to do first come, first serve. So to me, I do it before. I don't know if there's a downside to that, like say if something happened that was canceled or you didn't make it to the cruise line. I'm sorry, Minnie. I'm sure you would be refunded, but anyway, but you will want to take care of it if you haven't previous to your cruise. Take care of it right away, because they do get filled up. Especially specialty dining, and we're earlier diners, and we often found, oh yeah, you can get something, asking at the last minute, oh sure, we got a place for you, we have a reservation at 8:30. Well, we're not going to eat at 8:30 at night. It's just too late for us. So yeah, so that's good advice. So overall, I think I pretty much agree with almost all of their suggestions. Yeah, all of them. They are pretty much what I do or what we do. And I did miss one, I'm sorry, except for the change of clothes. I don't know, but if I was coming from somewhere else, I might have a different opinion on that. I missed one, I'm sorry. Number 4 was to take a few minutes to sanitize your cabin, and I do that. I especially did that before the pandemic, and then when the pandemic I came in, and they had really done it, and they had the little signs on things and stuff, and so I knew it was pretty clean, and I got a little bit of lax about it, but I need to start doing it again, because there's just, there's a lot. I've never had, well, maybe I have. I've never had a room that was 100% complete clean. There's always something. I mean, the same in your house, if maybe it's just one of the numbers on your phone, or, your remote control, or things you don't really think about. But yeah, I think that the surfaces you're going to touch a lot, doorknobs, closet door, whether it's your closet, the bathroom, the front door, remote, the counters, the tables by your bed, the door slider to the outside, anything you think you're going to touch a lot, I would sanitize. Absolutely. I just bring the little flat pack wipes. There's, I don't know, 10 or 12 maybe in it. It's like in the travel section, maybe cheap, and use those all up, and that's it. You don't have to bring a big container. You don't have to bring a gas mask, a hazmat suit or anything. But yeah, why not? I know they've cleaned it, but let's just give it a boost. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and give me a thumbs up, or the video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you. Yes, I'd like to see 200 subscribers pretty soon. Yeah, starting a second channel is tough getting, subscribers. So tell your friends. Bon voyage.